Now I see why. Can you hear me now, Tasha? All right. Let me know if you guys can hear me now. I'm not sure why I was like that, but I'm gonna do the whole entire show over, the whole entire show. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Somebody type they can hear me. Yes, bruh. Wow, wow, wow. So first time that's ever happened where I've done went through the whole show. Thank you, Tasha. Appreciate you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's get into this one more time. I'm gonna do this real quick because I think I got some really good plays for today. Let's jump into it. First thing I said was we did have a really good night yesterday. 4-1 on the week, so we're almost at 38 units. It'll be the first time we get there this season. Really close to getting to 40. Hopefully we can get there as well. Uh, Denver, I think it was a mob job out last night. No Nas Reed, they still didn't cover, but Houston and New Orleans covered pretty easily, and we got the best of the number yesterday. Yesterday when we gave these numbers out. So now let's get into the breakdown. So Pistons and the Pacers, +9 here for the Detroit Pistons at home. I think that this is an Indiana spot, and I like Indiana early just because they're coming off a loss as a favorite against the Cleveland Cavaliers the other day. You also get Detroit, only 1 day's rest, third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights for the Detroit Piston team. So I don't like the spot for them as well. The Pacers have bounced back off these losses. They're 4-1 straight up and against the spread coming off a loss since the All-Star break. Average margin of victory about 10. You see the spread at about 9. They're 4-1 to the under because their defense plays a little bit better in this spot. Indiana 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 after a loss, 7-3 to the under. And you hear Coach Carlisle call them out specifically about their defensive effort and how it just wasn't there. They just weren't playing a lot of defense in their last game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So um, I think it's a Detroit spot. Let's just put it like that. I'm sorry. I think it's a Pacers spot. Big letdown here for not a letdown for the Pistons because Pistons just they kind of trash. You also got Fontecchio still listed as questionable. No Quentin Grimes. Isaiah Stewart's now out, and Cade Cunningham looks like he is going to return in this game. But I think it's the Pacers early spot. I like the Pacers early. I know that they've been a better second half team, but Pacers first half is what I would play if I had to make one play in this game. I'd be looking towards the Pacers. The Pistons don't protect the rim at all, and the Pacers love to live in the paint. They take a lot of shots at the rim. So outside of Jalen Duren, we don't have Isaiah Stewart. You really depending on Wiseman. I'm not counting on Wiseman. So Pacers first half would be the play in this game. My top play in this game would be Pacers first half. I haven't quite got there yet, but that's the way I would look to play this one. Next game up, we got the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Rock fight of a game. Miami sent Duncan Robinson back to Miami to see a back specialist. You got Jovic. I don't think he's been ruled out, but he could potentially be ruled out. I think I saw him listed as questionable. No Tyler Hero still. No Kevin Love. Jimmy Butler. Not sure if he's going to play. He is listed as questionable. And you got a Miami team off 1 day's rest, third game in 4 nights, fourth and 6 as well. Last game of a 4-game road trip for them as well before they host the New Orleans Pelicans on Friday. From a trend perspective, I looked a little deeper into that. Miami's just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games, 1-5 against the spread in their last 5. They're 5-9 straight up, 2-10-2 against the spread when they're playing on their fourth game in 6 nights. So the spot says Cleveland, although Cleveland is coming off they're coming off a game where they won as a three, where they won as they won by 8 when they were 7-point dogs. So not a spot I really want to back Cleveland in. This is a one-off home game for them before they go on another road trip and they play in Minnesota. And of course, they're still going to be hurt. Like they're still not going to have everybody. No Donovan Mitchell, Dean Wade already been rolled out, Strus already not there, and no Evan Mobley. So really difficult for me to back either one of these teams. I think you look towards the total. This total was at 203. It went back up to 204. Miami's 8-2 to the under in their last 10 games, 7-0 to the under in their last 7. They really struggle to score offensively, and they're down a bunch of players. Also, Bam Adebayo and Terry Rozier also still playing with injuries. From a trend perspective, teams coming off a win as a 7-point dog, they're not great in their next spot, just 67, 82, and 4. That's 45% of the times they cover, but they are 87, 65, and 1 to the under. That's about 57%. And I think that's the play. Miami 17-6 to the under as road dogs, including 4 straight, 7 of the last 8. Since the All-Star break, they're 5-1 to the under as road dogs, and those games are totaling about 207 points. They'll still be shorthanded. I already mentioned the injuries. Offensively, the last 2 weeks, both of these teams are bottom 7 in scoring, and effective field goal percentage and free throw rate. all the categories that kind of lead the points. You can't trust Cleveland offensively as well because they'll continue to be without Strus, Wade, Mitchell. That's a ton of scoring. So I think the under in this game, first team to 95, I think wins this game. I haven't quite got there yet, but y'all, if you watched the earlier show when you couldn't hear me, you did see that I talked about the under at extreme volume because I do think this is an under type game. So that would be the play. I stay away from the side. Next game, we got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. This was a game that I talked the longest on. So you get a Bucks team coming off 2 days rest, first road game for them after 2 straight home games. They got 3 more home games after this game as well. The Bucks have been 5-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 8. They have faced a more difficult schedule than the Boston Celtics. The Bucks, you go through and look at it. It's a gauntlet of a schedule. They played the Sixers, the Suns, the Sixers not so much, but the Suns, the Kings, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Clippers again, etc. Boston, you get them off 1 day's rest. It's the 3rd game in 4 nights. However, they have kind of managed their roster. They've been resting players here, resting players there. No look ahead spot because they got Detroit on deck. They're 8-2 straight up in their last 10, 6-0 straight up, and against the spread in their last 6. But they faced the cupcake schedule. They had the Wizards, the Pistons, the Jazz, the Blazers. But I don't really think it matters, honestly. I think when you think back to how the last time the Bucks beat this team, they beat them 135-102 back on January 11th. It was the second leg of a back-to-back. Boston was still trying to take care of that home, not break that home winning streak that they had. And they had a fight the night before. They went to overtime against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it was a terrible spot. 5th game in 7 nights for Boston in that spot. Now that they'll be rested. I think Jaylen Brown is listed on the injury report. I think he plays. Giannis is on the injury report too. I think he probably plays in this game, but I'm not 100% sure. He did miss that last game against Phoenix the other day. Boston has won 6 of the last 10 head-to-head, but they've only covered 3 of the last 9. Milwaukee's actually covered both spreads so far this season, even though they did lose the first game. So from a numbers perspective, this is what I was talking about. This is why I really love the Boston Celtics in this spot. Milwaukee's defense is really falling off a cliff. Boston, number 1 offensive team, 125 points per 100 possessions, which is number 1 in the league. 6th in effective field goal percentage. They're turning the ball over at the 3rd lowest rate. 4th in offensive rebound rate, while Milwaukee's defense has been really, really suspect. They're 29th in points allowed per 100 possessions. Dead last in opponent effective field goal percentage. 5th worst team at forcing turnovers. The only advantage they have is the long mid-range shot where they have been heating up. They're shooting a ton of shots there. 4th most and the 4th highest percentage. Boston's actually allowing teams to shoot the 6th highest percentage over the last 2 weeks from that mid-range shot. But outside of that, everything else points to Boston in this spot. The Bucks also rely a ton on the 3, the above the break 3. They're 4th in percentage, 3rd in frequency. Boston has been elite at taking away that shot. The above the break 3, the top 8 in both categories. Same for the corner 3. And now getting back to this Bucks defense, they have been limited teams to get into the rim. Teams just getting to the rim at the 2nd lowest frequency, but when they do get there, they're scoring at the 29th highest rating. So 29th in opponent field goal percentage. So when Boston gets to the rim, they should be able to score here. They also got this Bucks team got terrible numbers against the above the break 3. They're allowing the 4th most attempts over the last 2 weeks, and teams are shooting 45% from the above the break 3, which is Boston's bread and butter. That's where they shoot. They're number 1 in above the break 3 frequency, 3rd in above the break 3-point accuracy over the last 2 weeks. The Bucks have also not been good against the fast break. They're allowing the 4th most points per transition opportunity. And Boston, we don't think about them as a fast break team, but they've actually been running a little bit more lately. 11th in frequency, 4th in points scored in transition over the last 2 weeks. So Boston first half, I think, is the best look in this game. We know that they've been the best first half team throughout the season. Major revenge spot in this game. Like I said, the Bucks have been playing against a tougher schedule, but this is a Boston first half spot, I think, if we've ever seen one. So I like Boston in the first half specifically a lot more than I like anything else in this game. They could get a backdoor cover. This line actually opened at 6, and you see it all the way up to 8.5 now for Boston. So maybe Bucks cover backdoor, but it's a game that I like Boston in the first half if I'm betting it at all. Next game up, we got the Kings and the Raptors. I did play this one as well, gave it out to the members. This line actually opened at 8.5 yesterday for Toronto. I couldn't get the 8.5. It wasn't available on my sports book. And then it pushed to 9, and now it's all the way up to 11. Definitely got to agree with the movement there because the biggest thing that moved it is they outside of Chris Boucher, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl all continuing to remain out. No Scotty Barnes either for the Toronto side. Now Emmanuel Quickly's out for personal reasons. On the Sacramento side, it's the first game after a 6-game homestand, first road game for them. 1 day's rest. They do got the Washington Wizards on deck for tomorrow, but who really cares about the Wizards? And Toronto continues to slouch, man. 1-9 straight up, 2-8 against the spread in their last 10. They've lost 7 in a row, failed to cover 4 their last 5. They're averaging just 107 points in the month of March over the last 9 games. With the injuries that the Raptors have, it makes sense that their offense is kind of falling off a cliff. On the season, Toronto is 21st in points scored per 100 possessions, which isn't that bad. I mean, it's bottom 10. Since the All-Star break, they're 24th. So now they go bottom 6. Over the past 2 weeks, they're 28th, scoring just 100.6 points per 100 possessions. Sacramento does a really good job of limiting the transition. And we know that Toronto likes to get out and run, but Sacramento's actually top 3 in transition defense. Toronto also, the Sacramento's weakness has been their 3-point defense. Teams really firing it up against them and making a ton of them. But Toronto hasn't been able to make that shot. Toronto actually ranks bottom 5 in 3-point accuracy over the last 2 weeks from the above the break 3 and the corner 3. So I don't think that they're going to be able to take advantage of that as well. And that's why I gave out the Toronto team total under 111.5 last night. This number has dropped now, but I still think that playing it right now is still good money. Toronto's attempting the 4th most shots at the rim, converting at the 10th highest rate over the last 2 weeks. But that's the strength of Sacramento's defense. They're number 7 in opponent rim frequency and 9th in opponent rim accuracy as well. And like I said, Toronto loves to get out and run in transition, number 1 in frequency, but Sacramento, third fewest points, fast break points allowed. So I love the opportunity for Sacramento. I know that they'll be on the road. Can't really trust them. They're just 5-5 against the spread as a road favorite against teams that have a 45% winning percentage or less. Losing those games actually by 1 point. That's why I chose to play the team total under for the Toronto Raptors in this spot. So that's what I like in this one. Pushing it along. Let's keep it going. Next game up, we got the actually the last one that I broke down. So the quick notes on these ones, and it was nothing that really jumped out to me in these games specifically. I will say this: two things did jump out to me, but I need to take a deeper dive into them. The first one is looking at this Jazz and Thunder game. We know that the Jazz have been they've been really, really bad. Lauri Markkanen already ruled out. Jordan Clarkson already ruled out. First road game after 4 straight home games, only 1 day of rest. First leg of a back-to-back. They got the Dallas Mavericks on deck, and it's a 4th game in 6 nights for the Utah Jazz team. OKC has 3 days rest in this spot. It's a one-off home game. They play in Toronto on Friday. Then they got to go to Milwaukee on Sunday. I think you just look at the team total, right? I think first half, maybe against the spread. This was, like I said, something I didn't deep dive into, but the Jazz team, the Thunder team total, is 122.5 on Bet365 when I first started the show. I think it's still there. I mean, they can score 140 in this game. We know that the Jazz like to get out and run. They can't stop transition buckets. They're bottom 5 in that, in that category. And now you get them on the road. I think the Thunder can name how many points they want to score in this game. I think that they absolutely can. So it'd be Thunder team total over without taking too much of a deep dive. All 3 meetings have gone over this season. 7 of the last 10 meetings have actually gone over between the Jazz and the Thunder as well. Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. Not sure if I want to lay. I think this number actually came down. It was at 11 yesterday. Total was at 220. It's come down now to 219.5. I don't know, man. Memphis, the injury report is always going to be crazy, but Desmond Bane did come back in that last game. They are coming off an overtime game, but you got Jared Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane. I don't know how much I trust the Warriors against another team that can play really good defense. Memphis has kind of hung their hat on the defensive end throughout the majority of the season. And I think 10 might be a tad bit too much. I think the Warriors win. They need a win, especially with them losing against the Knicks and the Lakers beating the Atlanta Hawks on Sunday. But I'm not sure, man. It is the second straight home game, 1 day of rest. They're coming off of, a loss as a 7-point. I think it was 6.5-point favorites, lost by 7 to the Knicks. So they should be motivated in the spot. I don't know if I'm laying double digits with them here. And then the Clippers and the Blazers. I mean, Clippers really struggling with identity. Paul George said it in the post-game interview. He said, we don't really know what our identity is. No Westbrook, Norman Powell been banged up. Their offense has really, really struggled, which is why you see the total down to 217 in this game. This is the first of one of those little head-to-head back-to-back series. They play again on Friday in Portland as well for the Clippers. 2 days rest, so maybe they got some practice time in. Coming off a home loss as a 9.5-point favorite against the Atlanta Hawks. Portland first game back home off a 2-game road trip. They did cover against the Chicago Bulls. Only 1 day's rest. I'm not sure what to do with this game, so I didn't bet it. And then the last game, Philly and Phoenix, I do kind of like the Suns in the first half in this spot. I think it's a bounce back spot for them. They got absolutely, embarrassed on national TV in an early, matinee spot on Sunday against the Milwaukee Bucks. Gave up 140 points. I think that they turn it around in this spot, especially against the Sixers team that really struggles to score. I can't bet Suns full game because the Suns have a tendency to run out of gas in the fourth quarter. They've been one of the worst fourth quarter offenses that we've seen this whole entire season. So I would only be able to look towards them in the first half. Bradley Beal did come out and say, they have to play with more sense of urgency. The Sixers could be shorthanded. Well, they will be shorthanded, of course, still. No Milton, no Embiid, of course, even though he did return to practice. Tobias Harris is listed as questionable. If he doesn't play, I think the Sixers could really, really struggle to score. Phoenix got to be locked in on defense in this game. So out of the screen that you guys see, Jazz first half, Thunder, team total over 122, and Phoenix first half minus the 4.5, I think are the best plays in these last 4 games on the board. These were the 4 games that I didn't take a too deep of a dive into, though. So that's the show for today, man. Top plays, like I said, I only played Toronto team total under 111.5. What you guys don't see here is Boston first half, and that's something that I'm probably going to end up playing. Indiana first half, probably going to get there as well. OKC team total over, and Phoenix first half as well. So that's the show, man. Best of luck to you guys. Resources here. Check them out. Hit the like button if you guys can. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't. Link all my plays in the description. Bet responsibly. Catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.